right? Please just let me know what was the topic is going to be about before, like introduce the topic and then ask me question, because I don't want to be like, I don't want to feel like I'm stuck and I don't
Yeah.
have anything to say. Or
So
whenever you see,
the
feel,
topic, the topic is going to be the differences and similarities between basically college life in the UK and the US, and some of the
and
subtopics will be studying abroad, of course, which is
yeah, I
already kind of what
understand
you
because
done.
you already told me. Just what I was saying is whenever we start a new topic, just introduce it, right? So it looks like it flows in.
We always do that, bro. We always do that stuff. Trust me.
Okay.
Like when we move to the next, we kind of like flow into it, but they're just like small topics. We used to stay on one thing, and then we'll have some questions. It'll be nice. So,
How long is this gonna be for now? For now?
Uh, how long you
I don't know.
shooting for, George? Like 45 minutes at the mat. Like, because here's the thing, like we would
55
do a half hour, but like obviously, like we're so used to doing so long. So I say every week me and George, we need to get like shorter and shorter. So I say like instead of doing 30 minutes this week, then we'll cut back 5 minutes next week, because I think that's the easiest way to do it. Because we're so used to like doing these long ones. But I definitely realized this week, with analytics, I'm like, we got to get shorter with this.
gotta
The
get
thing is
shorter
that when you have more people here, also it eventually makes it longer, right? Because everybody
Yeah.
has an opinion, has to say something. So it kind of makes
Sometimes we have a lot of guests. That's the thing. Like a couple weeks ago, we had like 3 guests.
for 3. Yeah.
yes, you
Getting
gotta give time to every one of them. So
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. So I hit the live thing. I just got to post. I'm gonna send you guys the
You got
link.
it. You shared the link on my timeline. Yep. If you want to put on Bleddy, because you just got a Bleddy just became your friend on Facebook. So
yeah, you can also copy the streaming link here on Zoom.
yep.
All right. I sent it to your messenger.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
No problem. All right. So we're live. George, you want to start? You want to start with the introduction?
Yeah. Ready?
Let's hop into it. We're back.
What's going on, guys? What's going on? It's Thursday. It's about 7:07 p.m. Today's April 22nd, and we are the Locked In Podcast. We're back in the building, the Stephen G Show. I'm your host today, G Mac, aka George Mechai, and I got my man here, Stephen Ushler.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, man? And today we have a pretty good, a good guy in the podcast, a special guest, a friend of mine from the soccer team that I know that I play with, and his name is Bleddy. Okay, what's up, Bleddy?
Hey, what's up, George? What's up, Steven?
How are you, man?
Oh man, nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, of course, man. It's been long overdue. We're happy to have you as well.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Today, man, is going to be one of those podcasts, right? Like I said, it's going to be a special episode. I sent some stuff out there. Some people seen, some of the promo. And what I was trying to tell you, Steve, before we even started, was that I posted one of us, which I added Bleddy on the ad thing, and I put the Drake song, and it just didn't go through for like some odd reason. I'm not surprised because it wasn't alone. It was a short clip of like the intro and it was like a promo basically. The one before that did make it, but the one with the Drake songs apparently it couldn't go through. So I'm like, yeah, right. That's what I was trying to tell you. But yeah, guys, it's all good. Like I said, a small little funny thing that happened. I was telling you right before we started the show. So having said that, today's show is going to be about life and experiences of foreign exchange students or international students between the UK and the US, and some similarities, some differences, as well as college life in general and some sports, college sports.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Go ahead, Steve. What were you saying?
No, I was just saying. I was like, I think, yeah, that's a good point. I'm interested to kind of hop into this topic. I know you were kind of saying like it's gonna be like differences maybe between like education, food, just culture in general. Really, really happy to have you on here today, Bleddy, and it's nice to meet you as well. Me and Bleddy, we're kind of formally meeting for like the first time here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's nice to meet you, man. We're happy to have you on.
Thank you for having me, guys. It's a pleasure talking about this topic. The thing is that after living for 6 years in UK and once you come to US, it just hits you differently, right? And there's so many things that you can notice immediately, the differences, especially because now I'm studying a master's course in Drexel in information systems. I'm about to finish, actually, graduate in September 2021. Like you realize it immediately. There's so many differences. I don't even know where to start and to talk about. So because I did my high school and bachelor in UK, my master's course here in US. So I mean, it's a difference. There's a big difference between these two, but still, I felt the differences when as soon as I came in.
For sure. I know one of the things, even when we were kind of just spitballing like
Yeah.
beforehand, you were saying the transferability and everything is a little bit more difficult out there in the United Kingdom, right? Compared to the
Yeah,
United States.
when I first joined my bachelor degree at this university called University of Essex, which is southeast of UK, I just as soon as I was done with the first year, I just wanted to transfer to another university called University of Surrey. And whenever you do this transition in the UK, usually for international students, they have very high barriers to change to make this change to the university because they want you there, right? They want your money because international students pay triple the amounts than the local students, domestic ones. So that's why whenever I changed, I had to achieve this high grade. And here in US, I noticed as soon as I came in, I learned from other students, peers associated with that. Here you just transfer credits and it's easy. There aren't many high barriers to entry because of, I think there are so many students here and they don't, it's not like in UK, like here there's a lot more, and there are universities, they have a lot more students than UK.
They're more so like trying to get your business because of the lack of students compared to here, where it's just like it's so abundant. Whereas
Exactly.
there, it's like they're trying to go out there and really get your business.
Exactly. And like in UK competes with competes to get the best students from Europe, right? Because Europe has great schools. I'm not saying they don't. It's just that those who go to UK are mostly from Europe and
Right.
Middle Eastern and like Russia and China. But in US, there are so many students from US alone, not to mention other internationals, right? That's why it's a bit more difficult.
Absolutely.
Right. It's different, like you said, like the US, it's a little bigger. Like in the UK, it seems like they go from all for the former colonies of the UK as well as like other territories around the world. Here we have that too, and obviously, like I was telling Steve, you earlier, exchange students. But because America's so big, just for the US, it could be, University of like say Columbia, right, New York, or Harvard, or University of of Pennsylvania, Penn State, right? If they come here from all over the country, they come from the South, the East, the West Coast, the North side, the Midwest, from Hawaii. In Europe, they come from all over England, in UK rather, all over the UK as well as Europe, but they come from all those other countries. So it's actually a good point there, Letty, on that. And definitely, I guess different populations, different university size and university population.
Well, think about this. Drexel University, the one I'm currently studying in, has 24,200 around that, right? Yeah. Whereas a university in US, which is a big university, let's say my university, which I used to study, mostly 17,000. So now this is not a big difference, but think about it. It's Drexel in Philly, which is a city of a state.
Right.
Whereas in UK, it's just London, right? London compared to New York, like the difference in population, everything is huge.
Right. Yeah. Did you want to add anything else to that, Steve? Excuse me.
Damn.
I think Steve.
Yeah, my bad. My stuff's kind of lagged.
Yeah, that's okay. It just lagged a little. I just seen it go froze. I said, did you want to add on to anything Letty just said, basically, or just?
Yeah. Okay, I see you guys. Yeah, my bad. My Wi-Fi. No, I was saying my Wi-Fi kind of locked up, but it's all good. So like the last thing I was hearing you said Drexel, it's like 24,000 students compared to like a big university in the UK. My point was going to be like compared to 17,000, but that's a good, because a big time university you're saying, and compared to like Drexel, which is like, can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, we hear you right. I can hear you.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my Wi-Fi, but it keeps like freezing me up. But no, I was just saying, like, you were saying like 24,000 students at Drexel compared to 17,000 at a big time university over in the United Kingdom. And that would be significant though, because Drexel really isn't like, while it's like a decently big school, it's also, Drexel's a little bit harder to get into compared to like some of the other universities. So I wouldn't even consider Drexel like a huge school here compared to, you're saying, like in the United Kingdom, like 7,000 is a lot for like a big university.
it's not like Temple big, but Drexel's definitely pretty deep, pretty big. But it's like a mid-level school in terms of size. I would say it's not a huge one. It's not small. Somewhere between big and middle. But I guess like Blady was saying, back to Blady's point a little bit. The one in Essex, it's big, but it's fairly big for the UK, but doesn't compare to Drexel. It's not even really one of the biggest ones in the city or in the state of PA. You know what I mean? So that's an interesting point. See, I just learned something about it. I didn't know how UK. I thought UK had some of the really big universities, but I mean, I guess sometimes in population size, we have a lot of more students here. In some cases, you know what I mean?
Also, the university. Have you seen the university in US, bro? They're huge. The campuses are huge compared to like the UK. I mean, some of them in UK they have huge campuses, but not compared to US.
Yeah, here are big. There's so much that goes. We'll get to that in a second, by the way, Blady. Good, sort of like point there. It's like campus life here, which we'll get into in a little. It's a little different in the UK, but UK has some nice campuses too, from what I've seen. But it's beautiful just to walk around the cities because of London. Obviously, London's a beautiful city. Here you have some big cities, and some universities might be somewhere in the city, in the inner city, almost like in the hood of the city, but you're safe because they got police in every corner, which is the example of Temple and, parts of downtown. Like if you're downtown, you're cool. If you go a couple blocks that way, you're not downtown anymore. You're not University City. You're somewhere, and you're like, okay, I don't know where I'm at now.
Well, think about it. In 2018, I was at Stanford University just to visiting, and you had to have a car to visit Stanford, right? It's huge.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't just walk around Stanford because you'd probably take hours and be very tired. Whereas in UK, like you can walk into university campuses, right?
Yeah, it's a different story,
Right.
It's interesting though.
Big difference. Whereas like at Temple, you literally are already in the city. Like you don't have to. Yeah, that's crazy. That's a good that's a good difference to know about. It's a big difference.
It's interesting because you went to Temple, Steve, and I mean, I went to Holy Family and a little bit of community. You went to Temple community. Just the commute and just like the way they're set up, bro. It's like a lot of them are in a big area of the city for that reason to draw more students. In the UK, I mean, I don't know, because in Europe, in some places, even here, there are places where they're out in the middle of nowhere, but it's just like they got a lot.
No, yeah, even in UK, they have campuses like both of the university I mentioned. They're like huge campuses right outside of like, let's say the city center, but they still can't be compared to like the campuses to some of the universities here in US.
Wow, that's what's up. That's what's up. So, all right, real quick, like I said, I know we kind of introduced Blady, but I want to take the time and just ask a few things. Now, Blady, you've been in America for about 2 years, you said, correct or no? Right, year and a half or 2 years?
Yeah, I started my master's in 2019 September.
Right. Yeah, so it's going on 3 years now. Okay. And also for those that don't know, because I don't know if we were announced that that wasn't the first time in 2018 you came here. You've been here before.
Yeah, I came here visiting my cousins before. Like in 2015 was the first time I came in.
2015. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you first got here in 2015. Okay.
Yeah, and I could definitely see whenever I would come, like things would change here. I don't know, even in Philly, when I think about it, like in 2015, things were so different. Like the city as well is changing, is evolving in a very rapid pace, bro. Rapid pace. I could see neighborhoods like changing like this, right?
You notice that, yeah. A lot of gentrifying, a lot of changes going on, properties being bought, and
which is good because it helps the city, but still I mean, you have also the other side where the rents are going up, the house prices are going up. So
truth be told, it's been going on for a while, but you're right. Like Fishtown, when I first got here in 97, it was different. But 2007, 2008, 10, 11 years later, they were building it. By 2013, it was a whole different scene. Like 2012, 2013, 2014, it's become more, and now it's like becoming college central for sure, but definitely for younger couples and people. Couples, and it could also be like friends too, but it's definitely, very much changed. And it's been going on also near where you are, near the University City area, but it's always been that way. So kind of like
University City is about students, so everything is focused on them.
Yeah, it's a nice little area to be in there because I drive down to a Southwest often, so I go by the area a lot actually, and I've been going in the area. Actually, for a person like yourself who's been here for a few years and lives on your own, it's not a bad place to live. I mean, if you have a job around there, it's nice to explore.
I think for international students, the best place to stay in because that's where it's like their base. Everything is there. Everything is close by, walking distance. You have city center close by, everything, right? So whereas if I would live, let's say in your area or northeast or south or anywhere else, I would have to commute. To commute, you'd either have to have your own car, which one thing I've noticed in US, this is a huge difference to me after living for 6 years in UK, the public transport. in UK, you don't need to ever have a car, right? You can travel anywhere for the rest of your life using trains, taxis, buses. It's so well done, like the public transportation, right? Whereas in US, as soon as I came in here, I remember my cousin, he was telling me, you're gonna need a car because you need to get used to US lifestyle, right? And I realized immediately that everything is very far away, like obviously because huge, huge cities and stuff, but that's one thing international students learn, that they need to get the driver license to get a car, and that's an expense for students, right? Because the public transportation here, to be honest, is not good. Like you have the underground trains and the subway and buses, but they're not like in UK. The UK, they're very efficient, very practical. Everyone can go from one place to another very quickly. I mean, it's not cheap either, but still, it's more efficient than having a car because the traffic there is crazy. Here, at least, the system is done in a way that everyone has to drive a car and everyone has their own car and everyone is about convenience. I've realized this. In US, it's all about convenience.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's an interesting fact to know if I ever traveled to the UK. I know that is one thing, yeah, here in the United States, I would agree. The public transportation system it's not amazing. Honestly, it could definitely be a little bit better, and it can be challenging at times for sure to even navigate, just because like you never know, like things aren't always on time too with like trains and stuff like that. It can be a little bit confusing, and depending on where you live, you might need a car. You're right. Depending on where
Yeah,
you live.
but also like the gas here is much cheaper, right? And I think because of the long distances, even if the public transportation would be like top notch, it would cost more because people would rather like drive their own car, have their own, space and do. This is what I've noticed. Here, people like to have their own space, car, way of doing things. They don't want to share. They want to have their own. It's about convenience, right? If they want to go to,
Here.
sorry,
So it's definitely, kind of every man, for themselves. It's all about
yeah,
themselves. So to speak. This mentality in America. It's more doggy dog world. In Europe, it might be more abundant. Like buses come quicker, smaller
yeah,
distance. I see what you're
yeah.
saying.
Here is long distance. That's why
Mhm.
it, at the end of the day, it's all about the cost, right? When I think about the price of gas you guys have here, it's like so cheap compared to, let's say, in some places in Europe.
For
But
sure.
still, that you have to take in the factor of distance. Here, even though the gas is cheap, you travel a lot more. Like if you go to New York, you have to like drive so long.
It's
Whereas
a
in
lot.
Europe, with that much of distance, you travel basically within states.
Right.
Here is just cities. I mean, New York is a state in itself, but still, it's a huge difference.
Oh yeah, no doubt. What yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, because like I heard like especially like if you go out to like there's a lot of highway. Like I know in Germany in particular, they have like the autobahns and stuff like that. Like you
Oh
can
yeah,
travel
there's no limit there. There's
yeah,
no
you
limit.
can just travel like you can get so much further just quicker. It's like whereas like it's a good point. If you're in New York, you're in Philly, like you could get stuck in traffic. It's like it could just take you longer to get those distances, whereas in the UK.
It depends though, 'cause, for example, in the UK, the system, the transport, like the infrastructure is made that way so that people use it public transport, and the public transport is top notch for that reason, right? Whereas here, the government, let's say, wants people to use the car because the gas is cheap as well, and they have the infrastructure built for that reason, and that's why, right?
Yeah. Makes sense.
It's a whole system, it's a whole process
Yeah, it's a big difference.
of how it works.
It's interesting to know. Yeah, in Europe, I
For
know about the
sure.
transportation
What
system,
like
the way they set up,
what were
but
you saying, George?
it's a different story. No, yeah, I was just saying about the transportation system in Europe. It's like trains everywhere from Germany to Europe to Italy, France,
And
UK.
it's cheap. It's cheap as well. Like you can
Yeah,
travel from
the
Germany to
highways are different.
France or France to UK cheap.
Gas is, yeah, gas is a little
How
expensive.
how's like what differences would you say? Is there like big differences in like music, like compared to like what people listen to like out in like the UK compared to like the US at all?
No, not really.
Not
No,
really.
I don't
Very
think so. I
similar.
mean, from my experience, I was a student for 6 years, so I wouldn't like. Still, I was a very young age. I wouldn't have the information to say if there is a big difference. But from what I've seen, it's the same music,
It's good to know. I've
depending on people, right?
of course, everybody has their own preferences. Everybody.
Because there's so many like so many people come from different backgrounds, so you're gonna hear lots of people listening different music, but it doesn't mean that in UK is different from US, right? People in
Right.
UK, there are so many different backgrounds, they are listening to different music.
Exactly. And yeah, I guess it would depend on where you're at in the United States or the UK. Exactly. Because if you're living in if you're living in like Southwest US compared to like Northeast US, you know, the music preferences could be overwhelmingly different compared to like and then like it depends on where you're comparing in UK too.
For example, in south of US, you hear a lot. I've realized that they listen a lot of country club music.
Yep.
For example, in UK, even if you go north or south, I mean, you're gonna find that much of a difference. You're gonna find some difference, but not that much, right?
Right. Whereas like up north, like in the US, it's like more of an urban dynamic, I would say. Like it's kind of like the Northeast specifically, like New York, Philadelphia.
Yeah, Midwest a little bit. It depends, yeah.
For sure.
Like
For sure.
From my experience in Europe, music definitely could differ, but a lot of stuff we listen here, they listen there too, but it might be on MTV Europe or on another channel or something like that. But UK particularly, they're known for some of their own music, and because sometimes UK is considered like in Europe a little out of Europe just because the monarchy thing and everything else. So it's like they got their own definitely other styles, But I thought DJs that are big in Europe are known here, like David Guetta is one of them, Van Buren, Robin Van Buren.
Yeah, definitely. But here I've also noticed that people who come here in US, they kind of they adapt to what people listen here, right? Somehow you do that, right? I've noticed myself when I came here, for example, I would do things differently, think differently, listen to other things, compare different from here. Like as soon as it took me a while, as soon as I adjusted to lifestyle here and the things are done here, you become like what the place offers you, right?
Right.
So you have to adapt to the place. If you don't adapt, you're not gonna like it and you're gonna want to leave, right? That's very true. Important. You have to
definitely agree about that because I've been there myself. Although I was younger then, but it's very true. Like this kind of life in America kind of defines you, changes you a little bit. You said you adapt. You just become. You don't necessarily forget what you came from or how you were in UK, in your case, or whatever you were. For example, in Australia, if you're there, or in Africa, or whatever. But you come here, you adapt, and then you get a new. It's like the American way of life. The American, the sauce here. Definitely, the flavor here.
You have to. Yeah, even when I went to UK, like I was like 16 years old, so I had to adapt to that lifestyle as well. Because coming from Albania, it's a bit challenging to go to UK and adapt and all that. So, but when you come to US, you already have that knowledge, experience from that country. It wasn't very difficult for me. But coming from other countries, let's say, if you come from Albania to here immediately, you can see it immediately that there's it will take you time. It'll take you time to adjust to everything: food, culture, music,
the way time goes,
everything. Everything. Time difference, everything.
Life.
Yeah, for sure. I just like this, like the culture. Like I was saying, like I feel like people here, it can definitely be a different type of dynamic, like with people here. And George can definitely tell you the same thing. It's just like people can be very rude. They're direct, but very, very entitled here, like kind of like we were talking about beforehand.
Yeah.
Just in this culture. Especially
I think people here like to express what they feel and how they feel immediately rather than go around and polish the words and stuff like that. Whereas in UK, they try to be polite when they talk all the time, right? Even though at the back of their head, they might not be that polite. But here, people, they like to be direct. And I like that. Some people hate it. Some people don't like it.
You know who the person is up front. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That could be
also in business. There's a huge difference. In UK, they do a lot of talking, a lot of paperwork, a lot of going around and around, and like at the end of the day, you might not even do anything or do business. Whereas here, they're direct. Like if you tell them, I want to have this idea, I want to do this business, they'll immediately ask, like, what's in it for me? How much are we doing? Like they want specific. They want to go into like let's do this, right? They don't want to go around and think about paperwork. They want to think about what they're gonna get, how much is it gonna cost, all that. So being very upfront, I
Yeah.
would say.
And you know what? That kind of speaks to the convenient factor too. Like they're like, well, I'd rather just get this
Convenience.
done. I'd rather just get that done today, so I don't have to come back here tomorrow and do it again.
Convenience. Yep. I said this in the beginning. Here it's all about convenience in every field.
Yeah, for sure. And just like talking to you, I can kind of get that. You can just hear in like different ways of how things are handled for sure. You can just kind of sense that's just how things are just kind of done here. I even heard in like certain countries in Europe, like Switzerland, actually have time before they even get into business. They have like 15 minutes of like just like a small talk. It's like in certain cultures, it's just like they small talk a little bit before they
Definitely.
even get into business. So it's
Definitely.
like,
I mean, definitely depending on the culture, but for example, in Albania, they start talking a little bit about each other, getting to used to know like each other, and trying to see if you can trust the other person and see where they come from because it's a small country. But for example, in China, people there they have a tea before talking business. They like to talk about family and stuff before going to business. Whereas here is direct, right? That let's do this,
yeah,
get it
yeah,
over
let's
it,
just hop into
next,
it.
right?
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Your mind for sure. Here also depends where you are. I mean, you'll find out quickly. Some neighborhoods is way different. There, it's just pure savagery. It's crazy. I mean, no one cares. They fight for parking spot. They put a little chair when they move out the car. It just blocks are tight. It's just a lot going on, especially in the big cities. Whereas in UK or maybe in Europe, it's a little more like it's a little different. I mean, if you're gonna go to places like that, I mean, there's some few places far away there. It's hard to like find parking. There's not people live there. It's very rough. But usually it's like more friendly based than it's not the same level as here, I would say. Before when I was younger living there. But I haven't lived there in a while, but in Europe it's a little different. I mean, in Italy where I lived there, people are very gentle, like Letty was saying, very much they be polite, they talk a certain way, they speak, to you and all that. Not they don't speak here, but I mean here is like more here people can be colder. I would use the word colder.
Yeah.
So I don't want to
In
waste words,
Italy is a total different realm. Like they like to take their time, their coffee, everything, right?
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, coffee, the Italian bread. They're very polite. People there, they live like nice, like religious lives, but not everybody's religious there. Just like the whole community, the whole church thing is a Catholic country, so it's huge. England's more or less like Protestant and Christian, but it's got that element too. But yeah, Europe is different. I mean, like Blaidy's saying, it's definitely a different cultural thing, and the values are a little different. But like Blaity was saying one time too, England kind of created the United States, North America, especially in heavy, because Canada's French and English colony wise. USA was primarily an English colony, so it's like some things like including our policing system comes from the UK. So
you can definitely see the English culture here as well. I mean, even the names of some towns and cities. I mean, that's where they came from, right?
Yeah, clearly, yeah.
That's a big topic to talk about. So
exactly. It's a lot of stuff. And just yeah, like I feel like that kind of speaks to the impatience of America too. Like everything with convenience, it's probably also why stress levels are so high here because everything is just so fast paced. People don't take their time. There's like no patience. They're direct, but it's just
it depends
very
though.
fast-paced.
I disagree because it depends where you are. I've traveled in
Yeah.
US, in the West and the South, and I found that the Southern people they take their time. They're so relaxed and stuff. I mean, depending on the city, but it's usually like that. Well, even in the West, they take their time. They're much easygoing. Whereas here in Northeast part of the US, like everything has to be done in like 1 second, 5, 6, 7 things.
That's a
Fast
good
paced.
point. That's a good point. I have heard that like down south, everything is like a little bit slower paced. Yeah, I feel like in like the more northeast, like urban environments, everything is just so fast paced, and they're just like let's get everything done now, and just like. But yeah,
But you know what's crazy though? What's crazy with the COVID thing? Everyone is moving to South, which before, when you think about it, nobody wanted to move to the South because they had the inconvenience factor in. Whereas now, suddenly the South became very convenient. So
Yeah.
everybody is relocating, going to Tampa, Miami.
Yeah, I was gonna say Florida in particular
Yeah,
is
Florida in particular.
is the big spot.
Texas,
there's a big
San
vacation spot.
Antonio, Texas is booming as well. So
Yep,
That's nice.
Houston and Austin as well. I
definitely,
both. Austin's property values are
Dallas.
sky high.
Mostly, when you think about it, like convenience it's still about convenience at the end of the day, because people are moving to southern part of the US to find that space because of COVID. Everybody is like scared. They want their own private house with their own private area,
Yeah.
garden, whatever. Stay away from people. So it's
It's almost
about convenience.
Yeah, it almost goes back to the car thing. Everybody wants to have
Yeah,
their own little safe space. Like, get away from me. I want my own thing, and
yeah,
just me, my family, and just yeah.
It's
It's
more of a
convenient.
selfish journey in America. In Europe, people like, well, people stay together. Here, people separate even more. Even though, like for example, Sammy and Steve are best buddies. We grew up since we're about 10, and we hang out and went to college together. And we had, we like in common, did something together. But then we kind of like we go our separate way. It's going to happen. In Europe, it happens, but people stay in touch more. It seems like here,
yeah.
thanks to Facebook. But other than that, it's hard. Like when you see it, they see you. Everybody's so focused on what they're doing. There's so much in their own mind.
But don't
So
forget
let's
though,
say
time here is very limited compared
time is very
in
precious here. I
Europe.
mean, everywhere,
Yeah.
but time
Because
people
of distance. Because of distance, I think
distance.
here everybody has
Not
hard
time.
time to make up.
Distance takes a lot of time here. Europe is that's the thing about Europe. It's smaller, it's closer, so it's easier to have time. But here's like just the traffic is crazy. I mean, I've seen crazy traffic in Albania too, but here's a lot different.
Also, people here put too much pressure on themselves, like in achieving stuff, because the costs are very high, and you have to
There's
maintain
not an option here.
there is
at all.
no exactly like you have to fight every day to fight, and like also the government here is like uh a bit different to how things operate in US.
For sure.
Governing body, man. We have so much laws here, but the thing is, since we're still on this topic, before we move on and up, so think about this. Every state got so many different laws here. For example, Florida, and this is not again crazy example, but it's true. I don't want to get into too much, but they got the stand your ground law. Well, PA doesn't have that. Texas got different law. Some states have capital punishment, some don't. So that's it's a lot of retrospect if you think about it, how it's the United States, but there's so much diversion because each location got a particular sets
You
of
know
small.
what's fascinating about US? For example, in Europe, there are so many countries that speak different languages, and you understand why there is a big difference, right? Because different culture, different language, and so on and so forth, different history. Like Spain, France, Germany, Italy, England, there's just so many different languages and cultures only in these 4 or 5 countries. Whereas in US, there are 52 countries speaking the same language,
States.
kind of the same states, speaking the same language, kind of having the same culture, and there's a big difference.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating.
It's crazy because you think about it, the US is a country, but it's a big country compared to we have a bunch of states. I mean, that just goes to point out we have a bunch of states inside one country because the country is just so big compared to like a lot of other countries where, well, even China, like land wise, it's like might not be as big, but they have more people because it depends. Like
China's up there. China, US are
they
pretty
have
much
a lot. Population is high, very high in
yeah, the
China.
population is way higher than ours. I mean, there are billion and some change.
Billions, a lot of people.
They're going no close to 1.5 billion. They're about 1.3 billion now. I mean, maybe
I mean,
400 million now.
And when you think about it, there's what 8 or 9 billion people in the world. So like 1/8, 1/9 of people in the world all live in China.
3/4 of the country is in Asia because you have India also, which is in Asia.
Yeah.
But China definitely got like a population.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
330 million US or something like that, close to 330 million.
Yeah, it's 300 and something million. Yeah, compared to like China. So like even between the US and China, that's a lot of people that just like reside in both those countries.
Yeah,
crazy.
man.
China and India.
sure.
And US and China. Well, go ahead. What do you say, Steve?
No, you can go ahead, George. Go ahead, buddy.
I was saying, that's the thing about culture. The cultures. I mean, China's a huge country, but even though they got their own states and all that, it's like the culture is kind of closer here because also, like Lady was saying, not only is many states to make one country, it's a big country, and almost every state has laws, but people came from all over the world here in this big, great country, and which is divided by states. Like Italy and England might have regions, you have states. Albania has smaller states, which is like similar like regions, similar to the states. But here's like every state got their own smaller divisional states and counties, and I mean it's just like so much distance here, so much to cover really. And there's open land that hasn't been discovered yet. And this country was built on discovering land in a way. The Spaniards were in the south a little bit, in some parts, in Texas and in the west, and the Mexico, of course. The English colonies were in the east, the original 13 colonies, which is how America kind of was created eventually. So it's a lot of history here, but it's just like so much like differences. We're so different, but yet we stay in one place and we try to stick with one another. They always say, "Oh, we gotta love one another here." Well, there's a lot of difference in America, and that's why there's a lot of stuff that happens. Problems start and all that because everybody lives together. But it's the only country you'll find some foods you might not find nowhere else, but in a particular country. like Birek, Birek you can find in New York, and in Albania and New York, and probably not too many other places in the world. Oh, you'll find it more in New York, like shops and places that eat this, and people that speak the language where they cook it more than anywhere else in the world except for Albania and Kosovo, and maybe like parts of Macedonia and some of the territories to be part of Albania. But in New York, you'll find it. Possibly Chicago, wherever there's a lot of Albanians, New York is like the Mecca, and for
That's
every country, like New York had more Greek people than anywhere in the world except for Greece. Same thing with Italy and Germany and Russia and like PR
for
and
some
Jamaica and all that.
for some reason I've noticed that people who come here, they try to share their culture, show their culture in different ways, and
Yeah.
I like that. I really like that because people like
Yeah.
to show what they know from their culture so that everybody's familiar. Because I've noticed people here in US, like most Americans, they're not very informed about what happens, let's say, in Europe. Like they don't know much about what happens in Europe. Whereas in Europe, we know a lot about what happens in US, right? So here people like tend to get informed about what happens within the US a lot, but not outside of it. They don't.
Yeah,
Probably they
there's
don't.
so much happens in the U.S. I mean, you're right about that. I've noticed that too. It's definitely another good point that you're making. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
No, for sure. Like you really don't hear too much news. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Internationally, it's mainly just very, very United States focused. Is very, very like U.S. focused. But I like that as well. I like that. Like I think people are very, very expressive of their cultures when they come here. I do agree, and I do like that because we really don't get that here. To be honest, with the news and everything, you're absolutely right.
It
Even
also is, yeah.
yeah, no, I was even saying with like even foods and stuff, like people like I'm noticing like just even in like where I live, like just like a lot of more people are opening like different types of like food places. I know that there's a couple Albanian spots. There's a Caribbean spot that just opened. It's like people are definitely try to come here and they'll try to like bring like a little bit of a taste or like an influence of like what they have. And I really like that though, because you
Right.
can learn a lot from other
A
people
lot,
because
yeah.
for sure. Like, not everything's just focused here in the US. It's like there's so much other world out there outside of here.
These people who bring their culture, like, also have helped American people understand or even taste something different, right? So they know, kind of, they learn something from one another. So I think that's good. Differences, uh, it depends on how you see it, though. Many people see it differently.
Yeah.
I prefer it. I prefer that I learned a lot from different cultures. I met different people here in university, coming from different backgrounds. They share their story, and it's just nice to know.
Yeah, for sure. And while you said it was like a little bit of challenging, like going like Albania, US, UK, honestly, man, the most interesting people I know are people that are well traveled, people that have been to multiple countries, that they've been inside multiple cultures. Those are like some of the most interesting people I've
Oh,
ever met. It's because
rather.
they've been around the world. They don't just There's also some people, like, there's nothing wrong with it, but some people like will just like they'll stay in like their hometown their whole life. They won't travel, they won't do anything. It's like you really don't know anything else about the world by not. I mean, I definitely encourage anybody that can and has the means to and has the time to, like, stay safe to travel for sure, because you can learn a lot. I just
Yeah,
got my
definitely.
passport, so
You kind of understand the word better, why it works the way it works when you travel, right? So you kind of understand
Yes.
why some people are that way and they have certain things that differ from you, and that's where your mind is exposed to the differences, and that's when you start understanding and accepting other people's opinions better, other people's thoughts and perspectives. So if you don't visit these kind of places, and if you don't like travel, you're gonna believe your whole life that people should be the way that you are, things should be the way you think, and it's going to be hard for you to accept other
That has
stuff,
opened my
because
eyes.
it's like something new. Whenever something new is going to hit you, it's going to be very difficult for you to accept it, right? Because you haven't seen that before, you haven't tasted, you haven't touched it, you haven't spoken to or felt that.
It's a good way to think about it. Yeah, yeah. And since we're kind of on this topic, I mean, well, on this particular, segment, we kind of like a switch right to the, traveling part, because and one of the subtopics about today's episode was actually traveling and studying, and just traveling in general. And obviously, now this is something we have covered in the past, but we never actually covered traveling and studying, studying abroad, abroad, and then also some of the, some of like the places, like for example, the UK. So it's kind of like where we on this. Now, Steve, you told me that you want to go to Europe. Obviously, you haven't studied abroad. You have, Bledy. What else other places in Europe you've gone, Bledy, like other than England? You said you've been to Italy before, right? And Germany?
I've never lived in other places in Europe, but I visited like
Visited, right.
France, Italy, some parts of most parts of like the Eastern Europe. But I mean, it's just short periods of time, like traveling. You don't learn much, but at least you're exposed to something new, right?
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Those are two places I want to travel to. Italy, I've always just kind of wanted to travel to. I hear certain parts can be very, very beautiful. And just
Italy's nice.
also I'm actually practicing learning Italian right now with
really?
like using Babbel, just the online service, just to learn it a little bit. And Germany, I definitely want to check out as well, because I'm actually like I'm a big portion of me is my family is like German, so it's like
nice.
somewhere I would definitely like to check out.
You should learn the language,
For
man.
sure. Yeah, that's another language that's on my bucket list. I gotta try to learn that as well. Try to learn both.
But German might not be as hard because it's closer to English. Italian, you have to have like an ear for it, or at least have a little known. Like a lot of Albanians speak Italian before you go to Italy or America, because the program on TV, you can see it, so you learn it, you pick it up.
Yeah.
It's harder for people in America, but German might be a little more like English in many ways, because it actually sounds a little more like English. Whereas Italian's got a lot of words of Latin, and English got a lot of Latin in it because of the Romans. So
German is way harder than English, and like I tried studying for 3 months and I gave up.
That's not very promising. Okay, you got this. You might be able to get it.
Whereas for Italian, once you learn to speak Italian, you also kind of learn into understanding Spanish easier.
And Portuguese, yeah.
Some words in Portuguese, some words in French too, because
French.
It's
Spanish
close to Latin as well.
I would say so.
For sure. Yeah, Germany, I heard I heard their medical system is like the best in the world in Germany.
They got very good
they're good in many things, brother.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, you can drink at an early age there. I have cousins that went there, and they were like, my one cousin, she was drinking when she was like she had a beer when she was like 16 there, or 17 or something like that, because in Germany you can like drink at like a young age.
Yeah, Germany's very nice. I would love to go to Germany, have a beer. Germany's known for some really nice place, like the German way of life, the Alpine way of life with the Alps and all that. Like Bavaria would be a definitely hot spot for guys around our age to go. I have a friend that's been there. She told me it's beautiful, and the girls are dressed like those traditional dresses, and it's just beer fest, Oktoberfest, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Blady knows about Oktoberfest. I'm sure you probably heard about it too, Steve. A little. You probably seen it.
Of course.
Very nice. It's very definite experience. I mean, I've never been, but I've been to bars in Italy that are very similar. Especially when I lived in Italy, it was near Austria, which is near Germany, so it's kind of similar. Like Blady knows the area.
The big difference is the beer, bro, because the beer in Belgium and Germany is like, it tastes so nice.
Yeah. Belgium, Germany, and even Holland got some of this beer.
Think about it, even soccer players drink it. Which is
It's
allowed.
It's Amstel. It's like the beer, the sponsors of Champions League and all that other good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I just went to George knows. I just went to a German fest over the weekend. It was they had brewers. They actually had German beers there and everything. It was actually really, really good. Yeah, there was a lot of different stuff. I tried a few different ones. They had when Mario was there, they had a Corona and stuff. He got a Corona. I was like, I'm not gonna come here and get a Corona, man. I'm gonna get German beers while I'm here, man.
Yeah.
Something different. Yeah, because it's a German fest, man. I'm like, I'm definitely gonna get German beers.
That was a good one, man.
Yeah, once you get used to it, I don't think you're gonna ever drink the Corona again.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That's very, very good beer.
Yeah, understand.
Yo, all the things I had like a wheat ale, I had like an IPA. They were all really, really good.
So many people did so much over the weekend, bro. You went to that beer fest thing, you tell me about. My buddy went to some kind of cannabis festival. People were smoking it because right before 420, and he put it on IG. So I was looking at the stories, like, oh wow, everybody was out to. Like this was actually a pretty cool weekend in terms of like events going on. It seems like there's some things popping. I feel like one day I still should go to one of these events around here, maybe like a brewery or a beer fest event. They'll be kind of tough because they actually do them. They got some around PA. PA's got a huge German Dutch population. You know that some of those things carry on, and America's known for beer too. So
lots of towns have German names too. I've noticed that.
In PA, yeah, Harrisburg, Pittsburgh. Yep. I mean, Philadelphia is a Greek name, but I mean, a lot of the names here are German, though.
Yeah,
Those-
there's a lot of festivals too of all different types of cultures. I know there's they usually they'll have a Polish festival. Polish is definitely in Philadelphia. That's big as well. You'll notice like
Yeah.
especially like towards like Port Richmond, like it's a big time
Yeah.
Polish dynamic. And even down the shore and stuff, they have like an Italian festival every single year where they have like Italian foods, like all Italian beverages, like all different types of stuff. Like there's just but I like those types of things because you can learn. You can learn a lot about a different. I mean, even though you're not traveling there, you can still learn a little bit of something. You can learn
Sure.
about the food, the culture, the preferences a little bit, just
Mhm.
by attending like little events like that.
You get to know things. You're right about that. You're right about that. Yeah, for sure. And also, yeah, man, like down the shore, you see a lot of those places. But down the shore in PA, in Jersey, was a lot of Italian based, as it is, in PA. But there's definitely each culture brought something, some kind of small festival you could do. You're getting on the Caribbean culture or the was it Afro funk, settings. Where they have like the concert, like the one in New York, in Brooklyn. It was one. It was in Philly once too, but it was like Afrocentric, type of like that. It was like a festival. I mean, it wasn't like made in America, but it was pretty nice though. It wasn't as big as that one, but similar. A lot of acts that we listened to, from like Absol to like Kendrick Lamar were there, to like even like the Roots. So yeah, this
Yeah,
time we should do some picnic, guys. I'll should definitely maybe hang out sometime and go for like a nice meeting or something down there, even down your area, Blake, because there's a lot of nice restaurants in New York City, a lot of nice spots to actually go and
oh yeah,
get some work
Yeah,
done.
I've
So like me and
noticed
Steve meet up in meetings, so I have all the time. So probably go to
lots of
Dunkin' sometimes.
the good restaurants I've noticed are outside of my area.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I would like to ask you guys, would like Stephen as well and George, what is one advice you'd give to me as an international student coming in the US? One advice from Stephen perspective and one from George as an Albanian
Go
raised
first, Steve.
here.
Go first.
that's a good question. You can go first, George, if you want.
All right, sure. And advice is like you said, international, or exchange student. Let me see.
I
I
mean,
would
you are Albanian, you know how Albanian culture is and everything. So what is one advice? Having been raised here, what did you get?
Yeah, I would say that one thing, like you said, bro, would be definitely, like you said yourself earlier, kind of like adapt a little bit and sort of like have your own mindset though, where like it doesn't take you too much from what you kind of believe in, how you're raised, but because obviously, see, I kind of was raised in Albania a little bit, then Italy a lot, and here as well, most of my time. But as a person also, I mean, although I went to college here, similar to what you do, I didn't go internationally, but I was close to traveling with Holy Family to Italy. We didn't go though in 2016. I didn't go, but I would say that the best thing is just kind of like learn a little bit of everything and kind of like what you got your interest, kind of just go for it, because here's there's a lot of things you could get done that you probably couldn't get done in Albania. In England's a little different. It's more like here, but even there might be some differences. So here you can achieve a lot. So just kind of go out there, meet people, network, just enjoy life, and don't remember you're in America, but you got your roots as well from Albania. You know. By the way, Steve, so Bled from the north part of Albania, from the south part, but
Yeah.
in New York is a lot of Albanians from everywhere. In Philly, it's a lot from my city, also a lot from me city. People from Bloody City, I used to work for them downtown at a restaurant. A lot of them own restaurants. And it's I met he's one of his cousins who plays soccer with us, Arturi.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's a funny story, but yeah, that's how we met like years ago. And also his cousin actually knows Marius, by the way. Our man's Arturi, but he knows my friend and his friend. I don't think you know him, Bledi, but you'll meet him one day. So Arturi knows
Okay.
Marius through Holy Family because Arturi graduated a little before me and Marius. He's a year older than me, so he graduated a little before. So that's kind of a similarity there, small world. So
I like the last part where you said you need like adapt to this country, but don't forget your roots. I like that.
yeah. So that's like I say, bro. And by adapting also means travel for sure. But you travel a lot actually out of the country because you've been in Canada as well, and we'll get
Yeah.
to that in a minute. But travel here first, I feel like, then go out the country because the U.S., like we're saying, it's huge. There's so much to see, man. I mean, the West Coast, the South, the Lake area, Chicago, New York, Miami. Steve was just in Miami like 5 months ago. So like it's a lot to do, man. I mean, yeah. So that's what I can say right now. Definitely gain tuned this kind of life and stay with your mentality. Never give up on your goals either, because goals here can be achieved. So
Exactly.
that's what
Yeah,
I'll say.
I've noticed that here in US people they they try to motivate themselves a lot. Like it's all about motivation, all about like that grinding and hustling. And that's what you hear all the time from people you meet. And this is not heard a lot in UK or other places, where at least before. But recently, like the past few years, I've heard this a lot here in US. I mean, since I first came here, I realized that people are all about grinding, making it work, being successful, stressing about it a lot. I feel like sometimes they even sacrifice a lot to achieve that, like even their own health.
yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah,
Respond to anything,
for
Steve, and then
sure.
I'll let you guys go back and
That
forth.
that's yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, people definitely, this is very, very competitive here.
Yeah,
Everybody like is trying to like yeah, for
Of
sure.
course, there's
And
guys,
that's
and
actually a big
fun,
thing. Like
yeah. No, it happens though. Yeah,
that's why
everybody wants
mental
to
health, I
go to the next
yeah.
level. Mhm.
That's, that's what I was gonna say. That's why I think mental health has become such an issue inside the US, is because people, it is good to be, the competition is good. It's good to be competitive. It's good to grind, it's good to work hard. But a lot of people I feel like struggle to find that balance. Whereas like, with mental health and everything, everyone I know, I just had conversations with people like last week, and there's just so many people, like depression is a real thing, and people, even some of the most successful people, you like, they're not, some of them are just not happy. Like somebody was just telling me that they were depressed last week, and it's hard to hear, and they're like just rethinking their field, like the field that they work, because they spent their whole life trying to live up to like maybe either their parents' expectations, or they've set their expectations so high, and when they got to where they're at in their career, they're just still not happy because
because
they,
because in the beginning it was a matter of survival, and now that they
yes,
passed away that point, now they have time to think. Before they were very busy to even think about that, right?
yes,
Yeah,
It's as we said in the beginning, people here are very busy, like they have very limited time to
time just
do.
goes different here. Period. That's the whole
Yeah,
topic on
it
top. We talk
goes
about
it
whole
goes
episode
so
on that.
fast.
It does
It
go
goes
fast.
so
Yeah.
fast. Yeah, and by the time you go to that point where you're good and settled, like financially, you start thinking, what did I do all this time, right? And you try to think about changing something and do something once that you like or that you want to do.
right, 100%. So my
Yeah.
advice to, like, to your
Sure.
question, I think George made a great point, and I like that as well. um you know Adaptability is definitely key in this culture, but don't forget your roots. That's a perfect example here too. Like, and while it's good to, and another advice I would say would be, it's good to be competitive, but and it's good to adapt, but not just don't forget your roots, but make sure you take care of your mental health. I would say that that's very, very key here, because
That's the
like I
first
said,
thing. Yeah, that's the first thing I noticed, Steve. Like the mental health concept or idea here. I haven't, let's say, talked about this before when I was like in other countries. I didn't hear this a lot. This wasn't the topic of discussion in other countries as much as it's here. Here, every time I talk to someone, I feel like that topic is gonna come up, right?
right,
And
100%.
I guess you explained it very well. Like people here, they put so much pressure on themselves because of the competition that they end up not forgetting themselves, right? They end up forgetting that
Right.
health is the most
Just like
important thing.
like you can waste your time. You can get caught up in the circle so much and trying to work so hard, and you forget to live in who you are. And you lose your identity. Can you lose your mind? I mean, it's something it's a phenomenon that's been going on in this country for many years, of course. And I mean, similar to like U.S. and UK and Europe and all that. But Albania, and notice that people there are more relaxed with time. Time goes there, but it goes different. He goes much quicker because again, distance and it's bigger and the way the schedule's set and because
I have a I have a perfect example. When I was in Canada, I stayed there for 6 months, and I was in Toronto, right? And the first time I went there, like I was meeting so many different people from different backgrounds, and all they were telling me there was the same thing all over again, right? People are so career focused in Toronto. Keep in mind it was 2016, right? Now imagine now what happens.
Yeah.
People were so career focused there that the divorces were so high because people were very selfish and they were always thinking about career wise, and they didn't think much about the family or health in general. So I mean, they were very healthy, eating healthy, doing sports. This you can see this in Toronto. People, they're much different than in US, to be honest, but they tend to focus on themselves a lot, like in Toronto. I'm talking about Toronto because that's what I've experienced.
Toronto, Canada, which is a
And
lot of similarities to
it's
US.
lots of similarities to New York and other places I've been to.
Yeah.
Right. And it's also probably why the divorce rate is so high in the United States today as well, like, compared to about 50 years ago, where it was just completely different, especially just today. It's just everything's so fast paced. But I think the key word is like work life balance. Like a lot of people struggle to find that balance. A lot of people do. I think like some of the best things you can do is just things that could help you is just like with mental health is just like journaling, meditating, even if it's just like 10, 15 minutes a day. Like I even think working out, like for people, even though that's physical health, but actually working out actually helps you mentally as well. You get the endorphin like a similar endorphin rush from just working out and just taking care of your health. I think a lot of people I know that are very happy, they have really, really good like morning routines. When they wake up in the morning, they take care of themselves. They take everything slow, like they'll work out, meditate a little bit, journal down their thoughts. And I just think like having like a good routine, it can definitely be practical, but it also can just
Also the right people around you, because you can have the best routine possible. If you don't have the right people, it just destroys your routine.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, having like-minded people that are positive, because there's a lot of negativity as well. There's a
Exactly.
lot of negative people.
Yeah.
But also, like, you cannot differentiate nowadays what the true intentions are of someone, right? Because
Yep.
there's always some agenda hidden. So
Yeah.
associating yourself with the right people, motivating you and getting that positive energy daily, it kind of pushes you, right? That's what I feel. That's why when I went to, for example, LA, I felt that everyone there, for example, they were very eager to do or achieve something by associating with people who have already achieved something, right? Like this
Right.
is the
Yeah.
first thing I noticed there. Like everyone
Very
was
true.
was
Very
eager
important.
to make contacts with people who already were successful, because they had this system where if he's successful, he knows why he's successful and he has achieved something. Therefore, I have to know what he knows, and that's how they kind of push each other, right? I mean, this is generally speaking, even in US, but there it was much more focused, and that's why I guess Silicon Valley it is what it
You know
is.
why though? Because LA is definitely like a go-getter city. Basically, you have the do and the do not or doners, guys that don't do nothing, and the doers, and the go-getters, and the guys that are not go-getters. If you're a doer, you do, and you're a go-getter. I mean, LA is a place for you, bro. And I think London to an extent too, because London is like the UK version, like New
Oh
York,
yeah,
but almost like New York and LA. And if New York is London, I
just
guess
a lot more competition in UK because
yeah. It's a lot more
you have
competition here.
so
It's more space. It's like there's a lot more. There's also a lot more resources here. Not more resources, but I'm saying there's a lot of opportunity to here, like in UK. But here's definitely a lot as well. So here's the more broad the opportunity. In UK, they're more selective when you want to get. So there's more competition because it's like 10 fish for one place per se. You know what I mean? But Wall Street is huge. Definitely the stock market, and the places in LA are big as well. And again, in America, when it comes to the businesses, the main five businesses, the cities are New York, Chicago, LA, and a little bit you could say Atlanta because the music industry is big there now and business is rising there. Even the media business in Atlanta is definitely getting it's becoming one of the main medium places. But yeah, I mean that's just the places they have in here. For
I
like
mean,
sporting event and fights and gambling, you have Vegas, of course. Miami's still a nice spot, and that's
it all
how.
comes down to population, bro. If you
Yeah,
have 300, let's say 50 million people, those are customers, right? Whereas to 16 people or 60 million people, that's a huge difference.
yeah. It depends on where you are, right? Like the U.S. got a huge population, and even the cities. I mean, Philly. When I first moved here around 97, like I first got here, and I moved in 98, but 97 I was here, and it was like they're saying that Philly was about close to 4 million, and I remember they're saying that New York had 15 million. So I'm like, wow. I guess it meant the state, but the city of Philly itself, was. I mean,
You move straight to Philly, George,
yeah, straight to Philly, man.
so you
Actually,
can see
from
you
Italy
you
to Philly.
you saw the difference in Philly, like
Yeah.
happening with your own eyes daily, right? Or was it just in the recent years? Has Philly always been changing or just recently? Because I
No,
feel like recently it's changing
it's changed more
very
recently.
rapidly, right?
Yeah, recently it's changed faster and probably a little more, but it was always kind of like interchanging. Because I remember back in like the late 90s to 2000s, I was in my old neighborhood. I used to live. I told Steve, near like Larry lives, down by like Tacony, part of the Northeast.
Yeah.
Now I'm in up more. I was there 98 to 2002 to fall of 2002, and even there things were changing slowly. I mean, even the city itself of Philly, things were moving in like the 2000s. New decades brought different things and challenges, and social changes, economic, even like the climate. You know, what I mean, they say, they always say, "Oh, climate's changing," but it's just the city itself. You know, what I mean, everything was going on, and I mean, city-wise, Philly's always been hot in the summer and kind of cold, but global warming did seem to be a factor because for many years it didn't snow, then it snowed again. The last few years, it went crazy. This year it snowed, so it's a lot of changes. But the mayors, I
Right.
think, it depends on the mayors and what their agenda is, and the cities. Like it goes forward a little, backwards, forward again. So it's like ups and downs, but some things have
The
helped the city more than others.
the number one reason I love US a lot is because you can find yourself here, right? Like anyone can find themselves. Anyone can fit somewhere, right? You can, if you want, you can make something of yourself. If you don't want, you're not gonna make something of yourself. It's not like they're already things done and you cannot do anything to change them. Like in some certain countries, for example, you don't have this opportunity to create something as fast as here, or like US provides so many opportunities, right?
Sure.
So like you have so many communities, different people
Sources.
from different background, and you can decide where you want to stay, right? Because for example, here in US is, if you want to live rich, you have to work and you go to where the rich people stay together and you share what they have to another, right? If you don't want to become rich, then you're gonna end up on the other side. So I mean, it's all upon you, right? It's all on you. If you want to become successful, you become successful. If you don't want to become successful, you don't become. In some countries, bro, this is not possible. This is why I love US. Like, this is the
Yeah.
number one reason. It's a luxury good. I would say, right? In Albania, I would never have the opportunity. I mean, it's a small country. I can't even compare. I don't even want to compare that.
That's yeah. I mean,
Yeah, but I agree. So much opportunity. You just hear the word like American dream, because so many people like can you can literally go from rags to riches in this country. Like it's
yeah,
like legitimate.
literally.
You
You
could
guys
be at the
got
very bottom. And if you have the right strategy, you surround yourself with
so
the
much
right
money.
people, you work
Yes.
hard enough, you network, you can literally learn a lot and literally like work your way to the top, to millions,
Exactly.
even billions. Like it's possible.
I
It's
mean,
really
think about it. All the rich or the most successful guys in US, they're not. They're foreign people who came in US, learned, adapted. Again, they adapted to
yep.
the system and they became
They were just
someone.
they use their smarts, they source when they need to. And this country needs opportunities. So some of the first guys took it, which is also like again, like they took adventure opportunities, which is also why I like some movies like the ones they made. There's the movies gonna be made by Ed Norton, which is like about like the some guys that ran New York City in like the 50s and 40s, and based on like some of these guys like the Rockefellers and all that, and the main guys became rich. But that's what I like about the U.S. the way of life here and how it was, because it was a foreigner's dream to be here, which it still is, by the way. And an immigrant came here could do a lot. But also, like speaking of the road to riches road that you mentioned and what Blade was talking about, just like when I went to New York with my ex-girlfriend a few years ago, I went to the Empire State Building. They had the thing where like you can see like the skyscraper kind of. It's like a big thing on a wall. And this is like the second floor, by the way. We're not even like no way up in the building, but there's this thing where the immigrants had like the big bars. They're lifted in like this, like with ropes here, and it's like the immigrants chilling there, eating and talking, and you can see guys in like who look like bakers, miners, guys, you know what I mean? They work like in the coal mine, guys that are like, I don't know, trying out for the police department, guys with mustache and all that. So he shows all kinds of nationalities, which basically means like who really built this big building that I was in, this skyscraper or New York. So I was like, that's really was like the way of life here. And like, just look at the Godfather 2 or the Godfather the first one, especially the second one. He shows the rise to power, of a guy. I mean, even though he's a mobster, he was still, a boss man, and he came here as a little boy, from like another. They even got him to give him the wrong last name. His last name wasn't Carleone. They just said he's from here. Oh, call him Carleone. He had a different last name, Young Vito Carleone, right? So watching that, it shows that you can come here like from the very beginning and you can like make it big one day. You could take like damn near 60 years or 60, 7 years almost.
That
So
just shows that you just have to find your own way, bro. Like in US, you
American
just
way is the all finding way for sure. Can we agree on that, guys? The American way is almost the all finding way. Anybody can find their way here. It doesn't matter. It just all
yeah.
depends on what you move forward and timing too. It takes it takes a few things. I mean, timing,
I've,
resources.
you always, I've noticed this. You always hear in US about many things not being okay, like the food and stuff. But I think the US was built like that so that people who, I mean, it's all about if you're successful, you're gonna get things, you're gonna get access to things that non-successful or not rich, not so rich guys uh, can't, right? So it's all about, if you become successful, then you get access to things you don't normally have. So this is what US is. You have to earn your access to those things, and that's done by working, right?
Yep.
So that's what I learned, at least in my 2 years here in US.
Yep. The good thing is it's possible. Like even though you got to work hard,
Exactly, exactly.
it's not like certain other countries where it's just not possible. It's possible.
It's very possible.
very
That's-
achievable
that-
too, and it's very
and-
realistic. So yeah, it's possible.
That's why everyone should be lucky to be here. I guess that's what I think.
Yeah, yeah, definitely is it's a privilege being here. It's definitely, a blessing if you come here because you can do a lot here. So, and that's another thing about this country is you can fail as many times and still have a good chance. In some countries you fail a lot, you feel like you get discouraged because again, the opportunities are not always there. It's a lot more limited, which is key. A lot more limited, is a lot harder. Here you have more. You can do more in a short time. You can get back up easily. But even Albania gives some opportunities, and it's a very small country, let alone here, which is like a whole different universe. I mean, it's a whole different dynamic. So, yeah, in Italy too. I mean, you can start business quicker here than in some parts of Italy. You can in Italy, or not to say in Albania, because Albania is way different, but like in Italy or another country in Europe, it's like pretty well
It's a
developed.
lot of bureaucracy, bro. That's what I'd say.
Bureaucracies, a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of
Yeah.
restrictions that kind of hold you back a little, but you can and make it work. But it's not here. It's definitely it's an easier element. There's something about the U.S. has the element of like of being able to again to achieve to network easier. You can surprise people here. You could like just kind of be quiet and work on your own craft and your grind and start something here. People are doing real estate jobs here, real estate jobs, property management. People are buying assets here. So again, not that you can't do this in Europe, but it's a little different in West Europe than is it here. But one difference is though, and I think you know about this, Blade. I don't know if you mentioned it earlier, because we only have about 5 minutes on the clock or so. But one difference is in here you make more money and you have more opportunities. But they say that in Europe you enjoy your life more, you're more happy, generally happy in Europe though. In like especially West Europe.
Definitely because they have time. So if you have time, you can focus on yourself, on your lifestyle, on your
Kind of way, yeah.
food, dressing,
But
whatever.
you're like more here, time is you gotta be really sharp with your own timing, which is why I try to write my own schedule at a time now, as opposed to before, because here you don't always have that time goes so quickly here. You get up, if you're not getting up early in the morning here, you're sleeping your life away. If you get up here every day at 12, yeah, it's not. I mean, you gotta get up early here to get your stuff done and have time later.
We go back to the point Steven mentioned: routine and people. Routine and people.
Yeah, go back to the point Steve mentioned. Yeah, exactly. Very
Discipline. I would say discipline and people. That's
discipline is very
100%.
important here. Did you want to add on something to this, Steve? Before we
No, I
move
was
on?
gonna say, yeah, no, 100%. It's like, having discipline is obviously very key, but it's just like you said, if you don't have the right people around you, what do they say? You're the average of the 5 people you spend your most time with. If you don't have the correct people around you, they're just
think about it. Would you do it if George was some introverted person who'd always say no? Would you have done the podcast? No,
No, yeah,
right?
exactly.
You push each other.
Exactly. Nah, yeah, it's critical because yeah, like if you're eventually the habits of other people rub off on you. If you're spending the time with like people that aren't like-minded and aren't looking to do a certain aren't going to push you to go to that next level and push you to challenge you to be your best person. Like if they're always negative people, then you're going to become that type of person as well. It's just
100%, 100%.
Just how it is.
I agree.
Called it, bro. Definitely. Real quick before, because we definitely got to close in a little bit, though. But I want to ask you something. And since we're in this topic, I kind of mentioned. I forgot to ask you, Blady. What about as far as college and sports? And since you went to college in both places, did you play some sports in college? And is there any sport that you're a fan of in college? Maybe you didn't play, but you liked it.
Yeah, I was a fan of soccer since a young age. And when I went to UK in high school, I joined
Soccer team there.
a soccer team there in high school, and we would compete nationally with other colleges and other high schools.
Nice.
For different cups, domestic cups or leagues, and but it's totally different. Like the competition, the toughness, the weather is horrible. you have to train and play into very harsh conditions. It's always raining. It's always windy. It's always cold. But yeah, soccer was my number one sport, and I continued with that until I went to college or university years, because here there is a big difference. In US they call college, bachelor is called college, whereas in UK it's just university, right? Bachelor. College there is kind of high school, right? Meaning that's what I feel there's another difference. But yeah, when I came here to US, the number one thing I did is I was trying to find out people who play soccer, and the first guy I meet, guess what? It's you, George.
Yeah. As far as soccer, because when I met you last year, I don't think you really were playing. Like you joined this team with Nika,
the first time I played was with you.
So for about 2 years, 2.5 years, you didn't play soccer. Yeah, 2 years. You said you didn't play soccer.
No, I had a bad injury in UK in my back, so I couldn't.
Yeah, because when I met you, told me you had an injury. Yeah.
Yeah, I went through some intensive care, like physiotherapy and stuff, and then I came here, and then we started training a little bit, and it was better here because the weather is much nicer here. Like
That's one thing about the UK. The weather in London, especially, is almost always raining. I keep
it's
hearing.
always
London can
raining,
be
bro.
boring if you
It's
don't know what
always depressing. The weather is. That's why people work there because the weather is so bad. There's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Whenever there's sunny, like I don't know if you ever seen, like people go out there in the parks and they try to tan and get that sunlight.
I've
But
seen London with some nice weather, and people enjoy the weather because they don't get much of it. It makes sense. When you do
when
get it, like, oh, let's go out and hang out and have
when
fun.
London is sunny, bro, it's the most beautiful city I've ever seen. But
Yeah, it's very beautiful for sure. I have a
it's
friend that lives out there.
it's
I know a
just
couple of people that moved out there too. It's very it's not to watch there, but because it's always rainy, you're not gonna capture a good picture with the sun.
oh yeah, that's the thing, bro. That like people there, I feel like they're depressed because of the weather, nothing else. Whereas people here are depressed for other reasons.
Here the
Yeah.
depressing because of other stuff, because of the way life goes and all that. But a quick question about the college thing there. So I actually played. I didn't play sports in college like that because I joined when I joined my other college. I'd already spent a lot of my eligibility, but I did play in high school. And I played soccer and I wrestled. How's it in college and it's like soccer in UK, or I guess in university that they call it there, and in high school? Is it like a big difference like in here, or just like the divisions
Oh,
are just higher up?
it's a huge
It's just
difference.
stronger, better.
I realized here soccer is not big. I mean, it
It's getting a
in the
little better,
in the
but
latest like lately the few years
less like 15 years, I would
soccer,
say.
yeah, soccer has gained some popularity, but in UK it's a way of life. I mean, the football,
Of
soccer,
course,
or
for
I don't
years and
want to
years
call
ago,
it soccer. I hate the word soccer. Sorry, guys, but I don't want to call it soccer. It's just football, right?
football.
Football was invented right by English, so it's a life. It's a lifestyle there. They live by it. Whenever the weekend comes in and there are football matches, people go crazy. That's what they wait for. That's what they work for the whole week. All right. Everybody has to
Here we got
talk. They,
American football or football, the NFL. Then we got soccer or football, like we call it in
yeah.
Europe. Now
I
that's another
mean,
thing. Blady understands. He's smart. He knows. But Steve, in Europe, it's so different. Bro, moving here because they call it football or football like in Spanish with a U. But you can say football in English. And a footballer, it's a soccer player. Like
yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo is considered a footballer. Wayne Rooney, a footballer. You know what I mean? Kevin McManaman, David Beckham, one of the most famous English footballers or soccer players. Here they call soccer. So that right there is a cultural difference. But we're not even going to get into all that. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, think about like in UK, for example, people as soon as they finish Fridays, they have to go to a pub, they have to get their beer, they have to talk about the match that's going to be tomorrow, and then tomorrow they meet again, they go to a pub, they drink beer, they talk about
Watching.
pre-match,
Yeah,
and then after the match is ended, they meet, they drink beer, they talk about what went wrong with the match,
part of their
and then
life.
they go home, and then they discuss it again on Sunday, what happened on Saturday, and then on Monday they start to work. So it's a routine, it's a lifestyle. Soccer is a lifestyle there, and it's very competitive. It's very hard. I remember one time when I went to this professional soccer university college. Um, Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard was found there, and if you like, we had matches there, like testing matches to see to find any talents or anything. Like there were many scouters there, like to see who was good. And if you could see how competitive, like imagine now 15, 16-year-old guys, if you'd see them, they were like tall and big and huge, and you think like he must be probably like 20 something, right?
Right. They're like 15, 16.
Because they're built in that way, right? The way, the food they eat, the training they go through, it's all about stamina, strength, running. Like it's not there's nothing about technique or abilities. Even though recently with the new players, everybody is gaining abilities now, but I
UK
mean
got
it's
this player.
more about that stamina and strength. Whereas compared to here, it's a brand new, like for soccer here, I feel like it's just starting. It's gonna be massive. I feel like soccer is gonna be huge
It'll
here
get
in
bigger.
the.
I feel like it's only getting bigger, but it'll take some time. Well, because in America, it's not a soccer. Soccer or football is not a sport that was created in America. So in
Yeah.
America, they like sports that they made, like baseball and basketball and football. American football, but soccer is growing popularity and it's very underrated and appreciated, but yet unappreciated by a lot of people. But even though there's people that actually play it, still don't appreciate it enough because they don't know enough about it. With the growth of soccer here, like you said, I think you'll get much better, and USA might even do a little better in World Cups. Which ironically, USA has done well. They best the group before. They had some competitive
They
games.
have amazing talents, bro. They're gonna
Yeah,
be
talent
do
is good
much
here. In
better.
2002, the USA went to the quarterfinals, lost to Germany. But I mean, it's like I said, they've had some decent records and they got some good talents and
They're investing though. They're investing. I've seen lots of investment in
a lot
soccer
of
too.
investment
So
being done here in soccer. Is they want to build it up, and I mean we live here now, so it's like soccer to us is a way of life. But when you play in Europe in soccer and you go back for it's been a while, you play a game there, it means so much to you because you're back in your continent in Europe or in even in England, you're still in Europe or Italy, but in Albania you're home, and then you come here, you play with your own kind, and you try to like we do, organize games, and it's hard sometimes,
Yeah.
but we do what we got to do. So
Yeah.
I was telling Steven that me and you sometimes set up the games and we play, and we should get our
Yeah.
boy Mario. He plays goalie, but Mario doesn't come out as much anymore. But
well, we try to schedule them weekly on
every
Sundays.
2 weeks, weekly, Sundays, yeah. Remember I was telling you, Steve, about that?
Yep. I remember.
Do you play, Steven?
I don't play soccer. I play some other sports though. I play like basketball and football. I played soccer a little bit as a kid, like in elementary school. I sometimes back Marius would want to play like back in the day, just like for fun. But we'd play.
What's funny though, my father, he's a huge fan of basketball. He used to play basketball as well in back in his days in college, and he never got to make me like basketball. Somehow I ended up playing soccer. I don't know why. I don't know how.
Wow.
Don't ask me, but
You could have played basketball too.
yeah, he played soccer too, but his favorite sport was basketball, and he played it so well. But he never even showed me or taught me anything about basketball. Everybody learns soccer there more, right? As George
Right.
said, everybody goes toward that direction.
I will say that basketball is still pretty popular in Albania, but soccer is definitely number one. Number two could be like basketball, and that's how
I feel like the
sports.
Eastern Europe basketball was famous. The Eastern Europe part,
Eastern Europe, it always has been kind of-
Southeastern,
Yep.
mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Croatia got a good team. We had Dario Saric, Croatian for the Sixers. He played for us a
Yeah.
few years
Yeah,
ago.
you see a lot of Euro players. Furkan Korkmaz is
Korkmaz.
he's Turkish. Korkmaz.
But Turkey's got parts in Europe, and their basketball teams are really big. Korkmaz has Bulgarian players. Sergio Silva from Spain.
Definitely gaining popularity. Yeah.
Yeah, Italy and Spain got good basketball, and a lot of the Eastern European countries, the whole block of East Europe, from Slovenia to Croatia to Greece to Turkey to Yugoslavia, Serbia, Albania, Romania, we got good players. Like
Even one of the
It's not like they don't have good players or it's not very, let's say, it's just that the media and everything and everyone pays more attention to soccer. That's why.
they
Right,
give
'cause
more
they
credit
have-
to soccer. That's
They
a
have
big
great
one.
players, great competition, everything, but just people don't follow as much,
definitely.
just like in here.
Even one of the drives to the basket is it's called the Euro step, where they go do into the net or whatever in basketball. It's literally called the Euro step.
That's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting, actually.
No, man. Yeah. Some good players for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we covered well enough amount here. I mean, we're gonna be. Yeah,
Yeah,
we could probably close down soon. Did you guys want to add anything else before we kind of move forward?
Comments and wrap up.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap up soon. Steve, I'll let you if you want to do the shout out. We actually did. There was no shout out. No one came last week. It was me and you. We talked about we talked about the whole music thing, and so there was no one really last week here.
DMX. Yeah. It was just us last week. Usually I like to give a shout out to the guests that came on the previous week, but obviously it was just me and you last week, George. Obviously we touched on DMX and stuff like that, so we did some shout outs there, obviously. But
music industry, some stuff, some stock market things, a little sports.
Yeah.
It was a good episode. Yeah. I remember.
We used to listen a lot of DMX songs in Albania back when we were young, bro. I remember it.
Yeah, he was big in Albania for sure. I remember hearing DMX. Well, I was in Albania in 99, 2000, but I brought the cassette with DMX and I was listening to It's Dark and Hell is Hot, the Rap Artist anthem. And I remember playing in my uncle's car in the summer of 2000. And
Yeah, the cassettes were so famous.
Yeah, it was one of the better ones. And I remember listening to it and there's a machine gun sound going off and people are cursing. So oh wow, this is American music. I was this is rap in America,
That's the thing. We were raised with American music and American movies. That's all we knew.
Definitely were. Yep. A lot of them will also be through the Italian channel, so sometimes it'll be in Italian or straight in English with some subtitles in Albanian.
I mean, mostly the anime series or TV shows were in Italian, right?
Yeah, the animation,
cartoons.
the cartoons and all that. Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Okay,
But,
guys, I just want to say thank you for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you guys.
Yeah,
no
man.
problem.
Thank you for coming on, man. And it was
Appreciate you, man. You were pretty much almost closing. We'll definitely
it was great to meet you. We'll have to all link up in person sometime.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely, we should hang out, go for a drink or so.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have
Should,
a?
you know, thinking, Steve, we should go down his way one of these days, and then Blake come up here, go to the Bristol area or someone here, and you know, he'll drink, and maybe me, you, and Maersk even hang out one day. Because you guys are all the same age, and I'm 4 years older than you two guys, but you three guys are the same age, so
Yeah, and you don't even look like it, George.
I don't look older,
Yeah,
but
you look like you're our age.
I know I got a lot younger too, bro. And I'm like, if I look young, imagine people that are younger. People sometimes think I'm like 24. I'm like, that was like 8 years ago. Thank you, though. I take the compliments. And then they ID you in a wow all the time. Like, okay, let me show you ID. Okay, yes, I'm still young. I'm 32. Well, I'm going to be 33 next month, but sometimes I get like 28, 29, you know, 27. So, all right.
Yeah, don't talk about the ID thing, bro, because everywhere I go, I just judge me nuts. I feel like even when you're 60 here, they're gonna ask you for IDs.
They do actually. The policy. They asked the man other day, wow. He was like clearly 59 or something like that. He's like, are you kidding me? He's like, no, he was 60 something. I'm 63. And he showed ID. He's like, I'm sorry. Or cigarettes. I'm like, they're going to ID him. This guy got gray hair on. Like, I mean, he's got gray hair on him. So that's for ID. So it depends on the Wawa, the policies. And, you know, with the whole thing, you got to have a mask, an ID, got to scan. It's very, wow.
There's so many things people, I mean, things are flexible here, but for some things they're very strict. So
Yes, definitely.
Currency too. The currency change is the biggest. The cryptocurrency, like getting pounds to dollars, that's definitely, you know, one of those things. You know, like I learned it early because I was young when I came out here. But you probably, Letty, you were using pounds in England and in Albania,
Yeah.
using Albanian money.
you have to convert it all the time, and there's
Convert, yeah.
so much money losing
There
there.
you go. Learning about money.
Yeah, for
That's a
sure.
whole different topic, bro. That's that's a
do
big topic.
You could do a whole episode on that.
Yeah, you can
You
do
probably
like
could, right? Awesome,
Man.
awesome. Yeah, man. I think, like I said, we were thankful to have you, man. Before you go, man, you know, promote your IG page real quick. At least mention it so people can kind of in your Facebook page. They can check you
yeah.
out.
Send me the promo photo. You guys always upload that, right?
Yeah,
So I
we'll
can.
do that. But your IG, when I say your IG, though, real quick, what's your IG?
You only shared my IG?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sure here.
Bledinoke? Is that what it is, or is there something else? Like what's your IG name?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yep. Yeah, everyone, Bledinoke. So it's Bled, BLED/Noke, NOKA. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. It's actually pretty simple. And I was thinking something
Yeah.
else. Like, okay, actually very easy. Just your name, but abbreviated. Okay.
Yeah, I just because the Instagram doesn't allow you to just. There's so many names, same name,
The
same
settings are
accounts.
different in Europe than here, but yeah, sometimes with names it gets a little funny like that, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Sounds good. It sounds good. Well, I guess if everybody, you know, is good to go and no one has nothing else, we could kind of like leave the meeting shortly. Then, Bled, it was great talking to you, bro. I will probably see
Yeah.
you. So not this week, one after this, we could do the game.
Definitely, yeah.
Figure something out. We'll talk behind the scenes. Definitely look forward to having you again sometime, man. Thanks for the insights and some of the stories about the UK and comparison USA, UK, Canada, and the places you traveled. Steve, you know, any more comments? You good to go?
No, I was just gonna say, as I said, like, thank you for coming on, Bloody, and yeah, man, it was very, very nice to meet you, and we'll definitely have to get together in person sometime. Maybe grab a drink or something.
Thank you guys for having me. You should definitely carry on doing the podcast, and hopefully, this will be successful, and you guys are gonna be very successful, guys, because you have the initiative and ambition. So I'm sure you're gonna be very successful.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it for sure.
No problem.
Have a good
Awesome stuff.
one, guys.
Yeah. Have a good night, guys. Have a great weekend. And to everyone else out there, do the same. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you all more next week.
You guys soon. Have a great weekend.